Before you do anything else, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're kept up to date with hard hitting social democratic commentary by yours truly. I am American Social Democracy. Before I get started, let you know that for those who were concerned, if they were concerned, last few days I was not on here. I had a lot of stuff to catch up on. I work graveyard shift. And I have errands to run during the day and bills to pay and just the humdrum of life. And I go to the gym even though I don't look like it. Sometimes things like that. I just need to get out of the way to just to be on top of things. So I needed to take a justified break from this YouTube channel. And for the next couple of days, it may be the same situation again, where I might not be here that often. But I'm hoping by this weekend that by Sunday or Monday that things would change. So you may see another video too by me, but probably not like one every other day like it's been previously for a few more days. So anyway, I just need to let y'all know about that. And I want to talk about critical race theory. Well, let's start it this way. We've always had injustice since the beginning of human civilization. I mean, after all, we're human. I don't consider myself a cultural relativist, which might be seen as sinful by some on the left. But again, all I can say is that all societies have committed in one form or another evil. Virtually every society has committed some kind of evil at some kind of point in their existence. Why is that? Because again, we're all human. The USA is no exception. I mean, we had slavery, we've had genocide, and we had segregation. It doesn't make you, some revolutionary Marxist to realize that. It's the damn truth. And, the thing about it is that the United States have done a lot of terrible things in its 200 years of existence. The United States also done a lot of wonderful things too. And I'm not trying to minimize the good that the U.S. Have done in terms of their contribution to the world. But there's also a lot to account for. And the same thing can be said about many other powerful nations too. That they have, powerful nations such as the United Kingdom and France, and just all around the world. Russia, all these countries have contributed to positive development and good things in this world. They've also done a lot of bad things too. And not trying to make it Eurocentric or Caucasian centric. As I said, you had Arab civilizations in the past have contributed to the math and sciences. China has contributed. You can go across all regions. You can go to South America and see the pyramids that were that the native empires had created, and realized that all civilizations have contributed to a lot of good in this world. But if you look through every one of these civilizations, there's a lot of evil and a lot of blood that's been spilled. And that's just how I see it. Again, we're all human. So, as I said, this country was founded on, this country had a lot of, had slavery, and it was followed by segregation. And if you're a reasonable person, you can look back historically and think, well, gee, that sucks. It's really terrible that we had this kind of oppression that's taken place. And thankfully, slavery was done away with. And thankfully, Jim Crow or segregation was, in its most broad sense, done away with, but I will argue not completely. When you have police brutality, you have capital punishment, you have the prison industrial complex, which basically contribute to unnecessary incarceration, the drug war, which actually have killed people and clamped down on civil liberties, and a half a century of austerity, neoliberalism, deindustrialization, union busting, i.e., income inequality. And I will argue all of that amounts to a continuation of Jim Crow, or I'll call it the new Jim Crow, or call it neo-Jim Crowism. So let's talk about this controversy called critical race theory that's going to be introduced in the public schools. And some states are trying to either do away with it or actually have done away with it. And it's usually red states, the people who complain about cancel culture. If that isn't the mother of cancel culture, I don't know what is. But I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, that critical race theory, I'm going to tell you what it is not. So all you white conservatives, especially you white conservatives who are not racist, but you've been hearing it from Fox News, or you've been hearing it from talk radio, or you've been hearing it from social media or what have you, that this critical race theory is nothing but institutional reverse racism against white people. No such a thing. No such a thing. In the words of Tim Black, he commented on this critical race theory recently. He says, history don't give a damn about your feelings. And he's correct. And that's basically what it is. Critical race theory basically acknowledges the problems that we've had. And I know some people will be like, oh, must we talk about race? Must we keep talking about race? Look, in my leftism, there is a serious side of me that's class reductionist. And I know that's a slur to many leftists when they're like, well, you're just a class reductionist. And I can understand why people would accuse me of being a class reductionist. But the thing about it is, all leftists are kind of class reductionists to a point. And I normally don't get all hot to trot with identity politics. There are times that some issues are, there's some issues where focusing on race can actually be divisive. But then there are times where it's deeply appropriate. Give you an example: the police brutality. Now, I'm not saying that police brutality and capital punishment and criminal justice our law system. I'm not saying that because one is African American or some other minority that they're just going to be predisposition to commit crimes, and we got to go and look the other way and let some people commit crimes because of racially problematic things in the past. I don't do that. I criticize liberals when they do that, what I call a racism of lower expectations. But the thing is that we have a situation where, I mean, if you're a white person, you commit a violent act, likely you're not going to get the death penalty. But if you're a black person, you commit you don't even have to commit it. You could be accused of it, and everybody's calling for the death penalty. And that's where identity politics needs to step in, because again, the death penalty disproportionately discriminate against people of color. The police brutality, it disproportionately discriminates against people of color. The prison industrial complex and their ties to the court system, because it's a money-making scheme. And incarceration is the new Jim Crow. I am not a self-loathing, guilt-ridden white liberal for saying this. I'm saying this because this is fact. And here's another thing. Critical race theory basically is telling the truth about aspects of American history that's been whitewashed, pardon the phrase, in our history textbooks. It's not just the issue of race. Right now, publishers in certain school systems are teaching, when people claim that the schools are written, are influenced by Marxists indoctrinating people, no such a thing. I mean, you got school texts they're out there arguing that FDR prolonged the Great Depression. I mean, that kind of historical revisionism that exists. And it's people with a very partisan, conservative outlook that wants to rewrite history. If you're objective about history, you will look at history through a center-left perspective. Not right-wing, not hard left, but through a center-left perspective. And I know some people want to be like, well, why are you adding critical race theory if you think it's going to be a center-left perspective? Because the center-left perspective argues for objectivity and truth. And I do believe that critical race theory will provide that. I'll put it this way. And I think that anybody, no matter where you come from, anybody who looks at what happened to 6 million Jews in Germany, and we all, if you're a reasonable person, we all agree that we should never, ever, ever forget what happened to the 6 million Jews that perished because of a crazy, hardcore, right-wing madman by the name of Adolf Hitler. If we're to basically never forget what happened to 6 million Jews and millions of other people that perished because of Hitler, and to never forget the Holocaust, I think that same rule in America should apply to the African American community, because slavery and genocide and Jim Crow or segregation all roll into one was the Holocaust here in the United States for African Americans. When people across the ocean were taken from their homes, put on a ship across the ocean, a lot of people dying on their way to the New World, and then being sold into slavery. And from I'm guessing, from the 1600s all the way till the time where the Emancipation Proclamation took place, where slavery existed as an institution, a lot of people died in that dehumanizing institution. Again, and then you had slavery gone to be replaced by a softer form of slavery called segregation. Predominantly in the South, but it kind of existed throughout the states. Even the northern liberal states had an amount of segregation too. You have people who died also just for a black man would die just for looking at a white woman at one time. I mean, we remember the Scottsboro case in Alabama where, and I don't think anybody was executed, but they were scheduled to be executed. And that's the case where the a white woman accused 7 to 8 black men of raping her in Scottsboro, Alabama, and she was a prostitute, and she wanted to keep herself out of trouble. And everybody at those days were willing to believe a white woman without question over her accusations against the black men. And evidence has shown that the rape didn't take place at all. The ACLU was involved with this case, and it got a lot of publicity at the time. Now, I majored in history when I was in college. And the thing about it is that I learned about the Scottsboro case on my own. I learned certain things in, becoming a socialist. I learned certain things about African-American history that even Black History Month does not focus on. Like A. Philip Randolph, the founder of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, a hero of mine, a socialist in the tradition of Eugene Debs and Norman Thomas. The man that people would argue objectively, if they read about him, was the predecessor to Martin Luther King. He was Martin Luther King before there was Martin Luther King. He accomplished great things. His work in the labor movement made the Black middle class possible. And Washington, D.C. was desegregated in 1943 because of the actions of A. Philip Randolph. A lot of people don't know that. But I'm being partisan too, because my ideological bent on this channel is the Socialist Party of America, which lasted from 1901 to 1972. Arguably, the post-1972 Socialist Party of America that lived through the Social Democrats USA, Democratic Socialists of America, and Socialist Party USA, I see basically through all three organizations, their eyes throughout the world. So I have that perspective. And that perspective, is why I identify with A. Philip Randolph. You hardly hear anyone talking about A. Philip Randolph, which is a damn shame. But anyway, the thing is that critical race theories is not making the white man feel shitty about themselves. And don't believe Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida or former President Donald Trump when they make bullshit comments like that. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you don't like it, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As the First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. And again, as I said in the beginning, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Peace. Class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow, and class struggle until we achieve full economic and social justice for all.